He's pulled the shirt on, scored the goals. Andy Campbell on the Red.
This is the Red.
Oh, matey, we're here again. Christmas is out the way. New Year is gone. What do you reckon? Did you have a good time?
It was nice and quiet. I'm glad it's gone because it's sometimes just all that hype for 1 or 2 days just gets in the way. Yeah, as an adult, as a kid, brilliant, but as an adult, no, not so good.
You no young kids anymore?
Yeah, I've still got young kids. Yeah,
Oh,
but
okay.
it's more tiring. Yeah, it's tiring.
Yeah. Good on you.
It's
Good on you.
tiring.
Excellent. Well, it's Andy Campbell live on the Red across Teesside on DAB radio, smart speakers, online, apps, all that sort of gubbins. If you want to get your comments through, you can 0330 043 2002. We're live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube.
Yep.
We're live on the radio.
Yep.
So you can stick your comments in. Comments on Facebook Live, on YouTube. You can also WhatsApp Andy on the radio station studio number. The WhatsApp number is 0330 043 2002. That's 0330 043 2002. I don't know where to start. I tell you what, why don't we start with Keith Lamb? The news broke a few hours ago about the passing of Boro's former chief exec. I thought, obviously the Red wants to offer commiserations, deepest sympathy to Keith's family and friends. Just your thoughts, Andy, and I'm sure you had dealings with him when you were at the Boro, and how did you find the man?
Yeah, listen, really sad. It's like the end of an era sort of thing because Keith he played a huge role in bringing some amazing times to the football club. He had a big influence on me as a young person. I played with his son, Chris, growing up as a schoolboy. So I've known the family quite a long time. So yeah, it's really sad. When you hear those kind of news, you know what I mean. It brings it back a little bit about all the good times, and then obviously you start to have emotions as an adult because you realise that the time does evolve. Unfortunately, you know what I mean. It's really sad, and hopefully the fans can bring to light the legacy that he left on Saturday. Maybe at the Villa game. It'd be nice. It'd be nice to celebrate with a big crowd and the fans singing his name. It'd be nice.
Yeah. I mean, he's a guy who I crossed swords with a few times when I was at Sky.
Yeah.
But I always found him, though you could disagree, I always found him to be pretty firm.
Yeah.
And fair.
Very firm. Yeah.
And if he disagreed, he'd tell you he disagreed.
Yeah.
If he didn't know the answer, he'd say, "I'll come back to you," and undoubtedly he would do the work that was needed to find the answer. So whether in business you can disagree, you can fall out. He was always professional in his dealings. So, but a man who not just acted as chief exec for the Borough. I mean, it was the particular time of growth.
Yeah.
And I suppose the way Boro was saved, he came in and spent about 25 years at the helm, steering the Boro through from those early days of playing at Hartlepool in the first game of the season after the gates of Essen Park were locked, and then seeing Boro move back into Essen Park to the Riverside, through the Robson era, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, listen, I think he's left a huge legacy for the great work that he's done. I think he's been through the good, bad and the ugly. You know what I mean? Seen some amazing times. He's obviously seen the worst of the worst. And listen, the pressure must have been astronomical at times for him. It must have been unbelievable. You know what I mean? That they're probably seeing the club not progressing the way that he wanted to, the way that Steve wanted to, the way that all of his fans have always wanted to, the players, etc. And seeing players come and go, and seeing some amazing managers come into the football club because of the work that he's done as well. You know what I mean? He should have been very proud of the things that he's done for this football club. Yeah.
Comments coming in already as well from the fans. So Damon's been on. Good evening, lads. Rest in peace, Keith Lamb. Thanks for that comment, mate. Keith Lamb was vital in bringing Janino here. Just a true gent. It's so sad. Ian, rest in peace. Keith Lamb, Borough legend, heartbreaking. Never forgotten from a Darlington fan. So even our regular Darlow fans as well.
Yeah, lovely.
Remembering Keith. As we've already mentioned, and we've also posted on social media, our sympathies, deepest sympathies go to Keith's family and friends. Let's get on to football. We did miss a show last week, mate.
We did, yeah.
Christmas, New Year, all that gubbins going on. I know you were keen. He was a bit of truth. He was super keen. He really was super keen.
Always.
Yeah, always. But looking back, a couple of games to look back on before we start looking ahead to these little tiny games that we've got coming. Huddersfield, the away trip to Huddersfield, and also Boro at home to Coventry. Let's start with the good news. Cracking 3 points to come back. Huddersfield.
Yeah, listen, I think we made harder work of it than the result suggests. Some of the chances that we missed, one in particular from Isaiah Jones, he missed an absolute sitter. You know what I mean? I think these kind of games we can make a little bit more easier work of these things if we had that. Probably that 25-goal striker which listen, every fan wants those kind of players in those kind of areas, but we also understand that other players have to come to the table, and they have to finish the chances which are created by other people, and we left it late. We missed a penalty, we missed a couple of easy chances, we scored late in the day to win the game. But listen, they've improved as well, so you've got to give Darren Moore, obviously left Sheffield Wednesday, he's gone to Huddersfield, and he's changed them a little bit. He's given them a little bit more positivity and chance to stay in the division. So they made us work harder for the points, and I think than I probably thought it was going to be. And probably the results suggest, because we probably should have put them to bed a little bit earlier than what we did.
But still a useful exercise. 3 points are always useful.
You go away from home and to any club in this division, that you've got to grind results out sometimes, and if you can get a point on the road, or definitely if you can guarantee the 3, then you're looking at a real positive opportunity then to go and pick the 3 points at home the following week or the following couple of days later on, which unfortunately didn't happen. But there's probably the issue of the season, that we don't have back-to-back results and back up the good work that we do in the previous game, and we let ourselves down a little bit the following game. And if we can just listen, we spoke about the importance of points here and there, you know what I mean, and you lead in a game against Coventry, for example. I know I'm jumping the gun a little bit from game to game, but you're ahead in the game. They draw back at half time, and instead of probably tweaking it to go for it and go a little bit more expansive than we want to, sometimes just sit and accept that you've just got 3 points a couple of days ago, that a point would have been good. 4 points turnaround out of 2 games would have been an amazing turnaround. Instead, we're throwing games away, we're throwing points away more importantly, you know what I mean? And we have had a lot of, I wouldn't say injuries, I'm not going to blame injuries. We've had a lot of the same personnel for a lot of minutes during a short space of time. And for me, especially against Coventry, the players looked absolutely dead on the feet. You know what I mean? That was probably something that we brought Josh back in. Yes, he's probably overcome an injury, but didn't look probably as fit as what he has done previously in previous earlier in the season. And I think that's the issue, that we're relying on players to get through so many games of high intensity, so many minutes of high intensive work, and I think it's catching up on a few. And they won't have had a lot of time off after Christmas. They'll probably work Christmas Day. They've played New Year's Day. It's a hard slog, and when you're playing against sides who want to beat you, need to beat you, in and around you. We spoke about the importance of the teams in and around you. Coventry were in and around us, Bristol City in and around us, Hull City in and around us, Plymouth were in and around us, all these teams, Leeds in and around us, all these teams who've beaten us, they're the 6 pointers and the teams that we probably needed to take points off or not lose to them. And unfortunately they've it's just made things a little bit more tricky in terms of the table where it looks. The point doesn't look a difference because it's 6 points, it never seems to change, but the gap looks massive in terms of where we are.
Yeah. You mentioned there you can't blame you won't blame the injuries, but really it is the injuries that's leading to the same faces having to play a full 90 minutes week in, week out, game in, game out. So that's probably what's taking the toll on the legs. But there is good news on the horizon, because we are hearing Hayden Hackney, Matty Crooks and Emmanuel Latte-Las are all back in training this week.
Yeah, not far away apparently.
Not far
is
away.
The word.
Yeah, we've already seen the likes of, I was going to say Riley McGree come back, but it was fleeting because he's now gone away on international duty. But does that breed a bit of confidence in the training ground, because you are seeing now more and more faces coming back? Yeah,
definitely, and I think it's real good timing, because obviously the window's opened as well, and obviously there's a few rumours about players coming in. There's obviously rumours about players going out, and what we can't afford to do, we can't leave ourselves too short. We've got players going away on international duty. We've got players who are still not fit. You know what I mean? If they come back, we can't afford just to think that they're just back fully fit. You know what I mean? These players aren't going to be able to play every single minute of every single game from now to the rest of the season. They need to be nurtured back in. They need to probably come in for a short while, maybe drop out for a game to come back even stronger. You know, and we need to look after players, and the games that are coming up are going to be so intense. The high intensity against Premier League sides, for example, are going to be it's going to be ridiculous for the players. So you know what I mean. They need to make sure that they're not rushed back. They need to make sure that they're looked after, because these games, the league games are tough. The FA Cup games and the League Cup games are going to be even tougher.
Yeah, I mean, we'll come on to the cup matches shortly because we've got plenty to sink our teeth into. But what about the current run of form at the moment? Because if you only go a handful of games back, you do include that Rotherham defeat as well. I mean, yes, the most bizarre goal ever to be scored.
Yeah.
It was a cross. I mean, absolutely no way did he mean that. So it was a splaffed cross that went in over the top of Tom Glover and into the back of the net. Boro had their chances but didn't put them away. So you've got a bottom of the table team there that you lose to. You bounce back, you beat Huddersfield, but then you lose at home to Coventry. I mean, it is that inconsistency that's costing us at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think you look at the sides who are in the playoffs, and I'll use Sunderland as a prime example. They had a couple of games before Christmas where they won 2 or 3 games back to back against teams in and around them. The huge results at the right space of time, and that's what we've missed and we haven't done. You've got to win games back to back. You need them. With 6 points behind, I'll give or take a point or two where we want to be, and if we can get back-to-back wins, then those 6 points can get clawed back very quickly. And sometimes when you lose a game, you can afford to lose a game, but you're losing the games at such the wrong time. We talk about that magic number about how many games you could afford to lose. We've surpassed that number, in my opinion, weeks and weeks ago. So it just shows how inconsistent the whole league is. That Cardiff have dropped points, Sunderland have dropped points, West Brom have dropped points, Hull have dropped points, we've dropped points, Blackburn dropped points. It's the most bizarre playoffs I've ever seen. You know what I mean? You take the top 4 out of it. For me, you were set in stone.
Almost top 5 now. Yeah, West Brom seem to be.
Yeah, they're winning games. They're winning consistently. They're not letting goals in. They're scoring more. They've got a very good group of players. They've got a good manager, and that's leaving a lesser number in terms of places available. And I was lucky enough to see Leicester at Cardiff over Christmas, and for me, I watched the champions. 100% watched the champions. You know what I mean? They were so dominant in terms of what they brought to the table. I watched Ipswich over Christmas on TV, same as Southampton, and I just think that there's so many good sides, and just so little places available up for grabs, and that's my only concern. That it's not about losing games; it's just the limited places available to get where we want to be.
We're battling for one spot now. I think everybody outside of the top 5 are scrapping for that 6th place. Yeah, I know mathematically West Brom can be caught in 5th, and you could look higher and look at Leeds and say mathematically they could be caught. But I think the top 4 are nailed on for
they're phenomenal.
Automatic
they've been consistent so far, unless they blow up.
And then West Brom seem to be making 5th its own. You've probably got 6, 7 clubs that are battling just for one spot. Have you known a season like it?
No, never ever. 'Cause I've never seen a season like it where you can afford to lose 2 games out of 3 and still be in and around the areas where you want to be. You know what I mean? And not think that it's season over, because 2 or 3 seasons ago, this would have been season over already now, because the gap would have been bigger than 6 and 7 and 8. It probably would have been 10 and 12, and it's hard to claw back those. You can't afford to lose another game, and we talk about we can't afford to lose many games, but then we go and lose 2 out of 3, and it's madness. It's brilliant because it keeps the season alive, and I know we are going to go into the cup games, and I'd love to listen to people's opinion on the cup games, but for me, in my personal opinion, league is my bread and butter. The league is where I want Middlesbrough to be. I want Middlesbrough to be in the playoffs. I want Middlesbrough to get out of this division. We've been in this division far too long. We need to get the Premier League. I look at last season as our best opportunity. Well, let's sneak into 6th and let's do one better, because we need to get out of this league. For me, the Villa game is a game that I don't need. It's irrelevant for me, and even the semi-final. Listen, I'm talking about a semi-final of a major cup competition, but for me, the Millwall game and further games after that are bigger games in terms of where we need to be as a football club. Listen, it's a brilliant game, great occasion, but if somebody offered me a playoff spot now and lose all 3 of those games quite handsomely, I'd snap your hands off straight away. Yeah.
Do you believe in fate?
In football, I think I probably do.
The reason why I'm asking is I'm just thinking, what we've just discussed in the last couple of minutes. Boro's already lost more games than you would expect them to, and still be within a shout, and we are. Yeah. We've had we almost had a whole bench of youngsters against Coventry. That's how threadbare we are.
The age of that bench was just
Alex Banguru was
outrageous.
Alex Banguru was the most
if you take the goalkeeper out of it,
player.
It was ridiculous.
Absolutely. And then you have 3 of your players taken away for international duty just as you start this. I mean, everything seems to be against Boro being anywhere near a playoff spot. Yeah. Yet we are still in touch. And that's why I'm thinking, normally you would expect us to be 10, 11 points adrift, too big a gap to catch up.
Yeah, 100%.
But we're not.
No, and what the thing I like the most is normally this time of the season, after defeat or after a couple of defeats, every other football club questioning managers, questioning club, questioning chairmen, questioning CEOs, questioning players, writing seasons off. We haven't. Why haven't we? Because we're still there. We're still there. The manager's not getting flustered. His interviews after games, his previews before games, it just doesn't seem to fluster him in terms of getting a knockback. You know what I mean? Because he knows there's still enough games, there's still enough points on the board to get where we want to be. And I believe in his process. I believe in what he's trying to achieve. And listen, if we don't get the points tally that we need in order to get where we want to be, then listen, there'll be an investigation in terms of where did it go wrong in terms of personnel or player recruitment or himself or whoever in order to move forward. But right now we're still in a really, really good position. But for me, there's got to be a priority. You know what I mean? Because the priority over the next 5 games for me it's got to be the league. Because if we do lose 2 or 3 more games out of these next 5 in 2 cup games thrown in between, I think it might just be a couple of defeats too far.
Well, we'll get into the cup very shortly. Let's get into some messages because people are sending them in. Very good evening, everyone watching. Hope you're well, having a great day. Happy New Year to all of you. Have a great 2024. That's from Ian. Happy New Year, everyone, from Stu Gawley. He's watching in BC.
Happy New Year.
British Columbia in Canada.
New Year.
Good to have you with us, Stu. Ian's come back, the Darlow fan. Steve Watson's Black and White Army. Come on, Darlow.
Yeah.
What got the job?
Steve Watson got the job. Yeah, Steve got the job, which was for me it was a good decision. I knew Steve had gone for the job originally, and I was quite surprised that he hadn't got it the first time round. But listen, clubs sometimes make decisions for the right reasons or the wrong reasons or the reasons that they believe, and they've got the right man in charge now. Hopefully, it's not too late in terms of saving their season because they've got a lot of work to do in order to stay up.
Martin, with a Y, has been in touch. He's asking the question, would Worrell be any good from Forest?
I've heard there's a couple of Forest players. Have we got some link with Forest? Because we've seemed to have done a lot of business with them over the last...
Villa.
We seem to have do a lot of business with certain clubs, and which is not... I'm not complaining about. Forest have a big squad. Worrell's done a great job in terms of Championship. He knows the Championship. He's got promoted out of the Championship. He knows what it takes to get in the playoffs. So any good player available to have at our football club. Listen, there's been a lot of players who've been touted around, and some rumours are stronger than others. But listen, any player what comes from Nottingham Forest who's had that upbringing and had Cooper as a manager and got promoted the way they got promoted. Listen, we need that kind of miracle. The way that Forest went up, we need that kind of story implemented in our football club, because we could be the Nottingham Forest this season. Who knows? You know, listen, that would be our dream. And
late run,
get in the playoffs,
get the players back. A few faces, Azaz we'll talk about coming in. Probably one of a couple that may be coming in.
That would be the dream.
We gel in February, and then that's it. Steamroller through.
There's always a team, Dave, who always nicks in and always does well. You know what I mean? Everyone who finishes third in the playoffs, or first in the playoffs, sorry. You know what I mean? Finishes third in the league table doesn't normally go up because, you know what I mean, they've been there for too long. It's like that chicken and egg situation. Do you like we did last year? Do you risk players? Do you push them on, or do you save them for the playoffs? And continuity, it's getting that fine balance. But it's always the team who finishes strongly right towards the end of the season. Normally, it obviously does well. Yeah.
Tell you what, as well, our inconsistency just keeps hammering me every game. I'll come out of games and go, that's it, that's the season over. Yeah. And then I'll wake up the next day and go, we can still collide.
You look at the league table. I think every Saturday night. I know Christmas has been different because it's days just rolled into one. But every night I went to bed after a defeat, season was finished in my head. Woke up the next morning, checked the league table, and it just didn't look as bad as what it should have done. And I thought the result hadn't been put on, or someone else's results hadn't been put on. But the league's never changed every time we seem to lose. It just seems to we don't move. We just stay where we are.
That's why I asked you if you believe in fate.
We just seem to be where we are. There's something, and I think that the whole Championship is waiting for Middlesbrough to just to pick the pace up and stop messing about and just start trying basically, and it's all going to happen. Just need to be patient, believe in the process.
It's coming.
Michael knows what he's doing.
We believe.
Michael
We believe.
knows.
We'll have to wear the badges. We believe. Just like was that Miracle on 34th Street or something? Miracle at the Riverside. Damon, can we forget New Year's Day game, please? First half we were outstanding, and then fell to bits in the second half. Do you know somebody called Anthony? My best mate Andy. He's one of our own. Andy Nellist.
Oh, Anthony, I do, yeah.
Anthony Nellis, there you go. Stu Gawley, if we don't stop shipping goals, top 6 is not doable. Ian James, Darlington FC, do a boost the budget scheme, running the club going forward. All donations will be welcome. Support dialogue. Good news on Mask, by the way. Mask have survived. It looks like they've dropped out the league.
Good and bad news, I just read that today, that they've been saved as a football club, and next season they will be hopefully playing out in Northern League 2. So well done to everybody who's been involved, but obviously a shame for the players that they won't be able to finish the season in terms of with the football club. They'll have to go on.
And Graham's moved on as well. He's moved on to Spenny, hasn't he?
So him and Clarkey, So good for them too.
Yeah, absolutely. So we wish Mask all the best, and wherever they will end up and play football. Damon, Finn Azaz looks decent. He was at Plymouth, wasn't he? He's been on loan from Villa. Scored a nice.
If anybody's seen his
against
goal,
the Boro.
if anybody's seen his goal on, was it New Year's Day?
Yeah,
against Watford.
I didn't see that one.
It was ball came over from a corner, and he just side-footed his volley into the top corner. It was an unbelievable goal, and obviously Villa have called him back for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because why would he give up opportunity? Why would Villa give up an opportunity for him to get regular game time? He's not going to the Villa side. You know what I mean? There's a big opportunity that a massive club has come in with a good offer.
Yeah, absolutely. And Damon goes on to say, I think it'll add to our attacking options, but we need more though, a right back, another striker, and a centre back. Looks like there's a shopping list there from you, Damon. Thanks, mate.
It's not Christmas, Damon, though. Christmas is well gone.
Stu's been back on. Thanks, mate. Appreciate the comment. Dinosaur Dave, as long as we beat Chelsea, I'll be happy. I don't know what's going on there, mate. I don't know what's going on there. You've obviously, Andy, you've put him up to something. Mind you, we've got lots of comments coming in. I'm reading these as they come in. Stephen, with what we have now, who do you think the main spine of our team is, from goalkeeper through to our forward? Main spine, Andy? What is it? Obviously, Senny would be your first choice keeper.
Yanks for me. He's got to be. You know what I mean? When he's here, when he's available, when he's fit, he's got to be a goalkeeper.
Linehan's out for the season, so we can't count him.
Yeah, for me, it's got to be Dale.
Yeah.
Dale's got to be your main body.
Van der Berg
if I'm going spine of my team.
Would you go Clark?
No, I'd go Van der Berg, definitely.
Yeah, he looked good. He looked good when they moved him into his natural position.
He's shown enough. He's also got. He's versatile. I think that's what I like about him. If you wanted to play him fullback, or you wanted to play him centre half, you wanted to play him as a 3. I think he's versatile enough to give what he can. Like moving in midfield, you know what I mean. You can't look past probably Johnny Howson and Hayden Hackney now. You know what I mean.
Hayden's back. Yeah,
Hayden's back, and Johnny's stepping up a little bit. That he's had a little bit of time out the side. You know what I mean. But he's come back in, and he's come back in and done well. You know, and. Even got his goal, you know. He doesn't score too many.
Yeah,
his goals.
2 of them.
Yeah, his goals. But he's
the splaffed one into the ground, like that one.
Yeah. He tried to ruin it for himself. I didn't with his penalty miss, but we'll let him off a little bit.
He has stepped up though, Johnny. I mean, he
does. Yeah, and do you know what? This is what experienced players do though.
I don't think Barlasser has been at the top of his game consistently throughout. Now, he's had a great game, but then he's had a couple of average games after that. But Johnny seems to have hit that level and almost rolled the sleeves up as a captain and gone, right, I've got to do this. And
I think there was a question a couple of weeks back, probably about a month back, about leaders. Who were the leaders in our group? And Johnny wasn't playing at the time, so I don't think we could probably put him in that bracket that he's a leader, because it's hard to lead on the pitch when you're not playing and you're not starting. But he's obviously rolled his own sleeves up and proved a huge point to the manager, huge point to the fans, and a huge point probably to himself, more importantly, that he's still good enough regardless of age and things, that managers gone down a different route. And sometimes when everyone's fit, players don't get an opportunity, but he's been put in back for whatever reason, because if that's injuries, then I don't suppose Johnny Howson will care why he's back in the team, but he's back in on merit. And for me, I think if Johnny stays in, we get the best out of Hayden, because we get more protection. And looking back at last season, when we have those kind of players who protect and sit and do that defensive job, it's not a pretty job, it's not a good job in terms of, unless you really like doing that job, giving the ball to players who can play. You know what I mean? The Robbie Mustoes back in the day when I played, those kind of players.
What an engine.
You know what I mean? Who can run around and do the things that nobody else can do. You know what I mean? That it's not a job that it probably stands out to a person who doesn't understand football. You know what I mean? But there's a job that every team needs a Johnny Howson. Every team needs a Robbie Mustoe. Everyone needs those kind of players who win the ball back and players to play forward and play to people who can unlock a door for us, because Hayden can do that, but it needs to be 20 yards up the pitch for that to happen. And hopefully that might change our dynamics in terms of where we need to be. And if Josh can stay fit and get fitter and get stronger, because his goal at the weekend, his goal on New Year's Day was a Josh Coburn goal.
Yeah,
you
it
know
was,
what I
wasn't
mean?
it? Yeah.
Fantastic ball, but if we don't put those balls in the box, he's not going to score those goals. You look at, we've been starved this season in terms of those kind of balls. Giles used to put them in regularly, and put them into dangerous areas. Archie would do the same. Ramsey would do the same. Izzy's quality hasn't really been there consistently from the right, but listen, credit where credit's due. He's done it, and he shows he can do it. He just needs to do it all of the time, because Josh will score double figures of headers alone if you put those kind of balls in the box, because he didn't have to put any kind of power in it. Everything was on the cross, and he used his attributes and finished fantastically well.
His attributes, I like that. I like
Good
that.
word, isn't it?
Yeah, good word.
word.
Did you learn that for Christmas?
Yeah, it was a Christmas
Good
present.
lad. Yeah, good lad. Came out of a cracker. So that we've got Senny, we've got Dale, we've got Van der Berg, we've got Howson, we've got Hayden Hackney. Then what do you do ahead of them down the spine?
For me, everyone knows I'm a huge Riley McGree fan. You know what I mean? For me, he's my 10. He is my 10. He makes things happen. He scores goals. He's electric. He excites every time he gets the ball. And I would prefer him just to be behind a. Right now, if we're not bringing in a 25 goals centre forward, which, you know what I mean, I don't think we're that kind of football club anymore to go and splash that kind of money. Josh Coburn has led the line really well. You know what I mean? So for me, that is my spine, and I think it's a really, really good spine. And there's not many. If we can keep all of those players fit, flying for the rest of the season, I've got no qualms at all. We'll be in and around 6, 7 and 8 going into the last game, if not already in it. You know what I mean? But having them, Riley's obviously going to miss the next potentially month of the season. He's going to miss some huge games. Josh has just come back from an injury. Is he going to be able to finish the season if he has got a long-term injury in terms of what I heard he had a hernia? I'm not sure if that's true, but that would be, he's got to play as long as he can in terms of getting it sorted out. Obviously, if he's had an operation, I don't know. Obviously, these things sometimes can get done without people knowing about them. Hayden's obviously come back from injury. Johnny Howson hasn't been playing. Dale's had a solid season in terms of fitness-wise, you know what I mean, but notoriously has had a quite injury-ravaged career at times. So and Jiang hasn't played the last few games. So I'm talking about our spinier team. The majority, if not all of them, haven't played all season. So you're going to struggle in terms of winning games without your best players. And listen, every team needs their best players, need their spine in the team to play well consistently in order to get promoted, get in the playoffs, win titles, for example. But Middlesbrough are no different. You know what I mean? That the new players will freshen things up. They'll make us better. The spine might change in order for those players will be in our spine if they come and hit the ground running and doing really well. But we need consistent fit players and different options on the bench, because we know when we've got Greenwood coming off the bench, for example, we've got Jones coming off the bench as a rested player, having Lath come off the bench or Josh coming off the bench, we've got options at the minute. And there's no disrespect to the young players, you know what I mean, but I think the manager's been absolutely spot on in terms of playing the lads while they're on the pitch, because expecting a young player to come on against a Coventry when you're getting beat at Rotherham, for example, it's so hard to come on from that, because everyone looks at stats and data from a Callan Kavanagh, for example, who all the appearances that he's had now for Middlesbrough in the first team, he's not scored a goal. Well, he had his minutes together. He's probably got around 7 or 8 minutes altogether. So the stats don't lie. You know, it's impossible to score goals if you're not getting any opportunity, any minutes.
Right.
You know, I'd like a couple of young players to be given an opportunity the weekend against Villa. For me, it's a free one. Let them play.
I was going to ask that question, and we've got to come on to the cup games, but bearing in mind we're still threadbare as a squad, we're only just getting a handful of players coming back from injury, and they've been out for a few games. Is that really the game to be throwing them back into? Because you know what Hackney's going to be like. Yeah. You know, he's still got that exuberance of youth. He wants to prove himself against Premier League players. Yeah. He would throw himself into every challenge given the chance, and you know he could pull another fetlock. You just never know. Yeah. So, do you almost write the Villa game off?
As a player, you've got to be very careful. You know what I mean? You've got the Villa game on the Saturday. 3 days later, you've got the biggest game of the season in their eyes in terms of as a player. You're playing against a semi-final at home against Chelsea. 2 silly yellows, you're banned from the game. You know what I mean? So you're not. Are you going into the game right in terms of wanting to get stuck in, winning your battles? You're already on a yellow. Are you going in wanting to get stuck into a tackle? I'm not saying players don't. You know what I mean? It's finding that fine balance in terms of what the manager wants or needs from the game. For me, it's Middlesbrough Football Club going to win the FA Cup. We're in the 3rd round. We're playing against the Premier League side. We could go and get Liverpool away the next round. We could get Man City the round after. We could go and get Liverpool the round after. It's you never know. So for me, I don't think it's a game that we need. I don't think it's a game that Villa probably need in terms of what their journey looks like this season, in terms of where they are.
I'm sure Emery he'll be resting a couple of players because he's got a Premier League squad that he can dip into for a game like this. Yeah.
And I think it's a free one in terms for them because their bigger picture is where they are in the league, and for me, that's got to be our big picture, with probably the fallback of the fallback on the semi-final. Imagine saying that as a Middlesbrough fan, but that's what it's got to be. You know, you can't go into every game just flogging players, because you know what I mean. Sooner it's gonna the picture could get worse. You know, we aren't just losing players from injury. We're losing players for international duty. We're losing players through suspension. We're losing form. You know what I mean. We've got to make sure that we're ready for the games that we want these players ready for. And for me, give these young players give at least 1 or 2 of these young players an opportunity to see if it's sink or swim, isn't it? You know, I remember I got thrown in. You get thrown in as a young player, and you know, you might find an absolute gem here and then everywhere. It might be a centre forward, it might be a goalkeeper, it might be a fullback, you know. And I think sometimes you just don't know what the manager's plans are, but I'm sure he'll do what's right for Middlesbrough Football Club. He'll do right for the group of players, because he won't just be looking at the Villa game today. He won't just be looking at the Chelsea game. Yes, he'll want to win them all, because he's a football manager and he'll want to be the best that he can be. But he'll know what his goal is at the end of the season.
Will he actually want to win them all? I mean, you've got Villa Saturday, you've got Chelsea straight after, you've got a threadbare squad, and you've still got to get yourselves back on the coattails of the playoffs. That's an awful lot to ask.
That's a huge ask. Listen, he'll want to win them all, but he's a realistic football manager, and he's realistic in terms of where we are positionally wise in the league, how we're all performing in terms of probably what percentage the players are working at in terms of games, minutes, workload, expectations. So you know what I mean. For me, I think he's got to take all those things into account, and whatever team he picks at the weekend, they'll give it what they've got, and just see where we are. It's a game which obviously the media think that Middlesbrough got a chance, hence why they put it on the TV, and they put it at a time where they want to see something. But listen, it's a good chance for the club to showcase what we do as a club, the ground, etc., the fans, everything that we've done, all the good work that we've done, and I think it's an opportunity for us to showcase that more than getting in the 4th round of the FA Cup, which for me, listen, the FA Cup it's been brilliant for me in my career. It's given me so many happy memories as a fan and as a player, even as a manager. So it's something that I'd never want to give up on it, but I think it's a game too far for Middlesbrough, I think, this week.
I can't disagree, and neither can Damon, who says he agree 100% with Cammy. League is our bread and butter. Yeah, it's nice to be in the semi-finals of a cup and play Premier League sides.
I won't be saying that Tuesday morning though when I get out of bed.
Let's have a look. Well, we've got some more comments coming in here. Cammy, FA Cup final or make the playoffs and lose?
How do we get on the FA Cup final?
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll switch it. We'll say League Cup final or playoffs.
Playoffs.
Yeah.
Playoffs all day long. Listen, if I knew the outcome of the playoffs and you're telling me that we lose in the final or lose in the semi-final, you've got to be in it to win it. You know what I mean? If somebody you've got to have that opportunity. You've got to get that game. You know what I mean? We should have played Luton last year, and I don't believe Luton wouldn't have lived with us on that big pitch on that day. You know, the players that we had at our disposal. You know what I mean? That was our real opportunity. But bigger and better opportunities sometimes surface at moments that you don't expect, and I'm hoping that could be this season, because the expectations don't seem to be as high as they were last season, which gives you less pressure. Means you can just go into games, just playing your normal game and doing what you need to do. And yeah, I'd take playoffs all day long. To be fair,
Yeah, I mean it's the one that could get you into the Premier League after
which
all.
is the
isn't it?
longevity. The longevity is
Mind you,
it's worth a lot. It's worth a lot of money in terms of the longevity of the club.
Excuse me, a little cough. Mind you, it has been said if the Boro get the final and play Liverpool and lose, and Liverpool get an automatic Champions League spot, like it's looking like they might,
They might win the
then
league. Yeah.
Boro could end up in Europe. So
Yeah.
there's almost a runners-up prize there.
Yeah.
Just having a look at some of the comments, Stu Golly's been back on. As a goal scorer, Andy, would you back yourself to score in any league or competition? He's thinking of Kavanagh here.
Listen, you've got to have self-belief in yourself, Stu. You've got to believe in the process. Every time I went into every single game, I expected to score. I wanted to score, and every time I did score one, I then wanted to go and get another one. You know, I didn't just rest up at the one. I was always devastated and disappointed when I didn't get one, and then when I didn't get one, and it happened on a number of games. If that went 6, 7 double figures, it would absolutely ruin my confidence. It would ruin my weeks. It would ruin my weekends. It would ruin my time away from football. It would ruin my family time, etc. So it would be really difficult in terms of mentally as well as physically on the pitch. So it's a difficult one. But you've just got to believe in yourself. You know, I think he's had if I was talking about Callum Kavanagh, Cal's had a lot of loan moves which I don't think have done him any good. I think he's gone to Newport and it didn't happen for him. He went to Harrogate. It didn't really happen for him. He scored a handful of goals, I believe, in both. In total, but when he's playing with better players and he's playing with good players in and around him, especially in the under 21s, under 23s, he's scoring for fun. So he obviously knows where the goal is, but he needs to be in the positions and he needs to be given the balls in those kind of areas, those kind of positions. And sometimes dropping down in League One and League Two, it doesn't suit everybody. You know, games were different back in the day when I played, and the way that I played with pace, and I played in a different era in terms of probably played off a big man. Nowadays, the formation is very different. You've got to adapt your game and things. So you know what I mean. I think we can, but players need to be given a chance. If he's gonna be given an opportunity, he doesn't score, then judge him on his minutes per games per goals, not games per goals, because coming on for 30 seconds here and there, 1 minute here and there, it's no good for anyone.
Don't even warm your legs up, mate.
Yeah, you don't want to come on sometimes. Listen, it's nice to come on. You want to come on. You want to break that duck. But yeah, for me, I used to hate it unless I came on for at least 10, 15 minutes, if not a little bit longer. Yeah. You know, and
I've noticed Michael, he's doing that a little bit, isn't he? He's leaving it late to make subs.
Very late, yeah, very late. And I don't know the methodology behind it. I don't know the reasoning behind it. I'd love to know it. I'd love to get my head around it. Why? Because he's obviously very successful as a manager and the coaches how they do it. But I just think as a player, when I came off the bench, especially, and I'll use my Cardiff time when Robert Earnshaw played ahead of me, that if I didn't get 15, 20, 25 minutes, then I'd rather not come on because I couldn't really get into the game. I couldn't really change the game unless it was a game unless we were winning, because then there'd be a lot more space for me to capitalise behind. But coming on to try and get a goal back or to win a game and to get the team out of trouble, I found I needed more minutes in order to do that, which is probably the norm.
Comments coming in via YouTube. Mick has been in touch. 8,500 tickets still left to sell for the semi-final. That's shocking. So that's Mick's point. Our very own Rye from the footy, the Northeast Footy Breakfast Show. Our Aussie friend, our Aussie Boro fan, is saying, "Morning, lads.
Good morning.
Long time listener, first time caller. Okay, mate. Yeah, okay. Just wanted to know if Cam's trip to Cardiff was good, because I feel like the wife at home is thinking about Cam cheating on me with some Welsh club. Sending love from Oz." Yeah,
it was nice to go home in terms of seeing some nice friendly faces. Me and the girlfriend had a very very nice time. It was nice to go to the game, did the radio. I don't think I'll probably be asked to go again in terms of if they see me as a lucky charm, but I am going to watch Middlesbrough there, so if it was another 2-0 result,
good
then
lad.
I'll
just
then I'll
keep
take
it
it.
going.
I'll take it. So yeah, I'll go there just to be that lucky charm again, I guess.
A couple of more comments coming in. Georgie said, just simple post on Facebook Live. He said, "Boro, good to have you with us, mate."
Yeah,
yep,
I know
you've got the right one.
I know,
More. Ibra, hang on. It's just as I was about to read it, it disappears off the screen. Typical. Hello, guys. Let's hope we beat Villa. Glad our club is making some signings. Rest in peace to Keith Lamb. Andy will have known him. Yeah, we had that chat at the start. Rob's been on. Footballers are known for some strange superstitions. Andy, Did you have any, or did you see any real strange ones?
Start with seeing some. I seen players do certain things. Obviously, when Paul Ince was at Middlesbrough, he didn't put a shirt on until he walked out the tunnel. Every time we played Liverpool, it was people touching this is Liverpool sign as you walked out of Anfield.
This is Anfield.
This is Anfield sign. It was like on the roof, wasn't it? So people, and as you went down to go back up, it was in quite a strange place. So I don't know. I didn't do it out of respect to touch it. You know what I mean? I've seen a lot of players from opposition teams and home teams do it. I thought
don't touch it.
It's disrespectful. I tended to if I had a good game the week before or the weekend before, I would replicate what I did the following week. So I think there was once at Cardiff that that I went to the next door neighbour to pick something up, and she cooked me a nice curry to have after the game. So I took it in, and then because I had a really good game, I went to see her on the Friday and asked her to cook me something again tomorrow.
You had a good game, mate. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it didn't work though. So I quickly cut that out. So yeah, it didn't always work. So I don't always believe in them. You know what I mean? People who put the left boot on before the right boot and do certain things, but if whatever works for you, you've got to do the same thing again, you know. And I think that's it's just part of life, I guess. Never mind just football.
Tell you what, mate, it's a really good job. You did play well. You know, you get the next curry. Imagine if you played bad and you got a curry the night after, and she was a big Cardiff fan. You know, would she be putting it in just to get her own back on you?
Exactly.
So that's you can get your comments in. It is Andy Campbell, former Boro striker, live on the Red right across Teesside, DAB radio online. Smart speakers, apps, all that kind of gubbins. We're live on Facebook Live. We're live on YouTube. We're taking over the world. If you want to get your comments in, we've got a few minutes left. You can get them in. Stu, thanks, mate. Stu Gawley again. It was the wrong bridge, Andy. He's obviously on about that photograph.
Yeah. It was. Apparently that was. The Newport Bridge in Newport, as in Newport in Wales.
Oh, that transporter one.
Same transporter one.
That pretend transporter
one.
one.
Yeah. It's like the fake one, isn't it?
It works.
It's a fake one.
I doesn't at the moment.
It's a fake one, yeah. So it's like being back home because there's so many similarities and so many things which remind me of home. So I think that's why I went there. That's why Lenny took me there.
That's why Tony Pulis said it's Teesside reminds him very much. He was a Newport boy, wasn't he, Pulis?
He was, yeah.
See, sometimes I know my stuff. Not all the time, but just sometimes. Let's get on to Chelsea. I know it's and as a football you say we didn't talk about the game that's immediately ahead, but having two Premier League teams to play in the cup in what are two big games. Sorry, I'm going to subscribe to the fact that the League Cup semi-final first leg is bigger than an FA Cup third round game against Aston Villa. What will be going through the players' minds, knowing week in week out you're doing Rotherham, you're doing Huddersfield, you're playing those sort of games, and then all of a sudden Villa comes along, followed by Chelsea in a semi-final. What's going through the players' minds at the moment?
You try not to look obviously too far ahead, but when in that Villa game do you start looking ahead to 2 days later, 3 days later, because your preparation straight away, once that final whistle goes on Saturday evening against Aston Villa, the Chelsea game just takes over, which is the biggest game out of the two by a country mile. And I think players will already look at that as an opportunity. Listen, we're one game effectively away from Wembley because you're one big, huge result. It could be 1-2, 3-0 win against Chelsea. You're nearly at Wembley. Whereas the FA Cup game is just so different. It's just there's so much ahead of us in terms of what couldn't happen. So for me, the game's far bigger game, and the players will know that. The players will realise that, and I believe a couple will be saved, rested, and nurtured in order to be ready for that game, because it's got to be given preference. It's got to be given preferential treatment because it's such a bigger game, and it's obviously Middlesbrough Football Club have got such a better record in that cup. So you talk about fate. You know what I mean? That
Cardiff again. We were just talking Cardiff.
Is it written in the stars? You know what I mean? Is this something ready and waiting already? You know what I mean? Because normally we played Liverpool in semi-finals, we played Arsenal in semi-finals. You know what I mean? Such bigger teams, bigger sides. Expectation to get knocked out over two legs, but they haven't laid a glove on us in terms of, you know what I mean? We were quite comfortable in all them games to go through. We were never flustered. So.
Mind you, somebody was telling me the stats.
Be a tough one.
The aggregate stats over the past, I don't know how many games it was that we've played. It's something like Villa 8, Boro 0, and Chelsea 21, Boro 0.
Yeah,
let's forget them. Eh?
It's not going to be easy. You know what I mean? Look at Chelsea's squad, manager, size of the club. There's something at Chelsea though which makes me think that it's not all rosy. You know what I mean? They've got a great side on the pitch in terms of personnel, names. They all look good, but there's something not gelling. So if you're playing a Chelsea side, this is the season. This is the season to get them. This is an opportunity to see what they've got, to lay a glove on them in the first leg. But we have to lay a glove on them. We've got to get at them. We've got to hurt them. We've got to really, really upset them to have an opportunity. We can't afford to be a little bit tentative and see what happens in the second leg, because if we're not careful, I looked at Nottingham Forest, Man United last year in the first leg, that Man United was game over. I think it was 4-0 or 4-1 or something. And what we can't afford to do is go a little bit too gung-ho, but at the same time not try and win the game, because you know what I mean, Chelsea will be a lot stronger at home, and the expectation will be that they'll attack a little bit more, probably going down to the bridge than they will at the Riverside.
Just another comment coming in from Rob. With the Chelsea saga happening so long ago, do you think that the players will now pick up on that rivalry, or is it just left us old enough just to remember that? I mean, that rivalry between Boro and Chelsea, the couple of cup finals in what was it, 8 months or something ridiculous. That's not going to play any part now. It's too far gone, isn't it?
I don't think with the players. I think with the supporters, and I think with the media, and I think coming up to the game. I think a lot of people make a big thing of it, and I hope they do, because I think the players need to know the importance of it, and I'm sure they will do come Tuesday night, because it's a huge game.
Dare I suggest the last time we played Chelsea over 2 legs, there you go, mate, have a cough, that's fine. Yeah. The last time we played Chelsea over 2 legs at the Riverside first as well, was that not that small matter of relegating Chelsea from the old First Division and the Borough taking their place in the top flight. Yeah. I was there that day. It was frightening on the pitch when all those hoodlums.
I can imagine.
I was a wet behind the ears football reporter for local radio, and I run down with my tape recorder, get halfway across the pitch to start my interviews, and I hear like a herd of elephants. Turn around and there's all the Chelsea nutters running across the pitch.
I think the history is huge. You know, you can go back the FA Cup game when Di Matteo scored after, I felt like straight away off kick-off on it. It was
48 seconds or something, wasn't it?
The time when they beat us in the the Coca-Cola Cup. When I think Eddie Newton scored the second goal, and Ruud Gullit was manager. When Tony Rodrigo scored, there's so much history in my lifetime that Chelsea have absolutely ruined my love for any London team, especially any in blue. You know, and I think there's so much hatred in terms of for those reasons. And as a young player growing up, you understand that, and I think for the Dale Fries, for example, you know what I mean, for the young players who will have that Chelsea memory of the FA Cup and Di Matteo and have the other memories, I think hopefully they'll be able to have that final word in the changing room to put a few memories to bed, because sooner or later that memory's got to be turned over and turned around, and someone's got to leave a legacy, and a different legacy. You know what I mean? At the minute, Chelsea can't keep on dominating and being that voodoo club, you know what I mean? Because at the minute, it seems like every single club that we play against is a little bit of voodoo club. I talked earlier on before we came on air that Coventry City I used to like Coventry when Keith Housen used to play them, because I knew Keith from the North East, and Keith scored the FA Cup winning goal for Coventry City, and I used to have a little bit of affiliation. But
he scored both heads, didn't he?
He scored an own goal, and he scored the winning diving header, didn't he, against Spurs? But then what Coventry have done to us this season for 2 games, and then last season for 4 games, I absolutely detest him. So you know, they're starting to become my new Chelsea.
Okay, we'll finish on this one. Villa's next.
Yeah.
Do you throw it away to protect the players where you need to, i.e. don't rush Hackney back, or latte lath, maybe even start looking at resting a couple that's been playing so regularly? Do you almost throw that game away to protect the Chelsea game?
I don't think you can go as gung-ho as what you probably would have done if you didn't have that semi-final on the Tuesday. If you had a full week's rest and you didn't have a midweek game, you didn't have a huge game on the Tuesday, I think you could probably take a risk and play those kind of players for an hour to get them ready for Saturday. But because of the magnitude of the game which you've got on the Tuesday and the size of the occasion, for me, you can't even take a risk on those kind of players. You can't. For me, it's too big of a risk, because you play them and it doesn't have a positive outcome, then the miss Tuesday, because the turnover of a game between Saturday night, which is you're losing a couple of hours as well, to then Tuesday. Players who take a knock are going to struggle. So anyone who's come back from any kind of injury might have muscle soreness and stiffness, or any kind of re-recurrence of an injury. For me, don't take the risk. It's not worth it.
Youngsters? Likes it, Cav?
Yeah, look,
Give Cav a chance. What a chance against Villa.
McCabe be given a chance. AJ Bridge, Cav. You know what I mean? For me, let's have a look. Even if it's half a game and the split between two players, give them an opportunity to play. Let them have that experience to platform themselves on TV in front of a good crowd against a Premier League player, against a Premier League club. You know what I mean? With the backing of the supporters at home, you know what I mean? You're giving them an opportunity to succeed because, listen, we're probably expecting to lose because we're playing a Premier League outfit. You know, if they turn up with the Ollie Watkins and the players who've put them into the top 3 and 4 this season, then they should beat us, even if we had our top players out. But, you know what I mean? Football's football. But for me, give the young players an opportunity to platform, to be good enough, and then see what happens on Tuesday in terms of give them a platform to be in the squad.
And if we happen to beat Villa, then hey,
fantastic.
We're in the 4th round. We've got another cup run. Andy, tremendous. We'll call it a day there. Thanks for everybody for your comments.
Thanks everybody.
Thanks for coming in, mate. And let's keep our fingers crossed for what could be a rather eventful 5 or 6 days.
Yeah, listen. I think next Thursday I think there'll be a lot of stress, hopefully a lot of happiness. But if it's not, then we go again for a tough game next Saturday in the league, and look forward to the following Chelsea game. But nice, it's going to be a good week.
A good week indeed. Cheers, Andy. Thanks for all your comments. And I've got to mention something we're doing this weekend, because we need some explanation for Boro fans, because across the 3 radio stations, the Tune on Tyneside, the Cat on Wearside, and also the Red, of course, here across Teesside, we're going to do a bit of a 7-8 hour special at the weekend. We'll start at 12 o'clock. Rise with us, our Mad Aussie fan, from Boro fan from Australia. We're going to be doing a watch along of that other small matter of a northeast derby.
It's a friendly pre-season game, isn't it?
Pre-season friendly, yeah. That's happening at I was going to say Joker Park, the Stade de Lune, where they've turned it into. They just rolled the red carpet out for Newcastle, haven't they? And then obviously we'll do our stuff in the Six Medals. So we're going to be live in the Six Medals with the build-up to the Boro game against Villa. And then Rye will be doing his watch-along against Villa, so the guy's not going to sleep over in Canberra. But that's what we're getting up to. We had to give it a plug. Andy, thank you, mate. And we'll catch you very soon.
My pleasure. Thanks, everybody.
Cheers.